Hey guys, welcome back to the Keen Life. In today's video, I'm going to show y'all how I calibrate my 8-scale and 8-scale truggy and 8-scale buggy cars and prep them ready for the race for electronic wise. Today, I'm going to be using the brand new Express Wi-Fi module right here. It's kind of like a small little box, looks almost the same size as a transponder. I'll get y'all a close-up video of that in a second, or a view of that, I mean. Let's see. It actually comes in this box. Kind of like if you ever bought brand new receiver boxes. It comes in this nice little plastic HobbyWing box. Still Wi-Fi Express. Shut up, Ashton. So it comes with, of course, I have it. It's actually installed in the car right now. It's the Wi-Fi Express module itself. And then inside the box, if I can open the box again, there's an instruction manual under this, and this is also a an extender, or you can use it as a if you have a different model of the HobbyWing ESCs for different plugs and different methods to program it. So this is basically an upgrade if people have been using like the old school program cards or the program boxes where it's like an analog digits and stuff like that. This actually uses your phone. So we're gonna actually get into it right now. So give me 1 second. All right, so first things first, right in my Techno ET48.3, I'm actually running a HobbyWing short course truck ESC. As you can see, it kind of fits almost perfectly inside the on top of the electronics plate that the Technos come with. Excuse my wiring, I just got it wired up not too long ago, so I haven't shortened the wires or anything like that. Just need to do some testing. So right now it's actually plugged into, boom. So wherever your fan plugs into, depending on which version of the which ESC you have, this is the fan plug right here. It plugs into there's 4 prongs. Let me just get this out the way so you can see probably better. Boom, right there. Trying to fold them up. There we go. So there's these 3 little prongs right here. See if I can. There you go. And under it says, you can kind of read it, censored, and this also tells you which way your LEDs and which way, like if it's negative, positive, which way to go on. So you unplug your fan plug-in. It's not gonna do any damage or anything like that, so don't even worry about it. You take your HobbyWing Express module, boom, right there. This one's a 3-wire, so it has positive, negative, and the neutral right there. And make sure you read off. So this far side is going to be the negative, so we're going to make sure our black lines up. And just push it down. You won't feel a click or a lock, you just feel it get really snug. And then just let your Wi-Fi module sit wherever you need to. Let me change this real quick. That's probably better. Actually, it is hot downstairs, by the way. And I'm wearing shorts. All right. So first things first, you're gonna want to have your battery inside the car. Get it all plugged up. Make sure your car is actually successfully. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Successfully synced with your radio. Then you're gonna want to go ahead and turn on your car. Techno has a really tight box, so I have to put it in weird places like that. Make sure your radio's on first. That red light should change in a second. There you go. Now it's all connected. So if you look closely, right there, boom. So when it's red, it means it's on. So you have power. Let me zoom back out for you. So then what you want to do is you want to take your cell phone and either if you have Apple, iOS, or Android, go to your Play Store or your iTunes store, the App Store, and search up. Just type in HobbyWing and it'll pop up immediately. Download that app, and then once you get into the app, you can easily just open it up and make sure you have your settings up as well. All right, so here's the HobbyWing app I have opened up on my, I have an iPhone, of course. I have it opened up on my Apple iPhone. You want to open up the app, and then it's going to tell you, also you can also go through the instructions, the actual paper instructions inside that comes with the box. But you want to click on the little ESC. Wow, perfect timing, right? Sorry about that. So it's going to pop up with some kind of instructions to make sure if you have stuff connected correctly. So this one says basically the Wi-Fi module is correctly connected to your ESC, which we've seen. Jesus! I have to hang up on my mother. Sorry about that. She's gonna get mad at me for that. So then you're gonna go through the list. Now everything wants to pop up on my phone, which is great, right? So my throttle and trigger stick have been moved to the 0 position. It's actually sitting on the side. It's not moving or anything like that. So then we're gonna go back out of this. Gonna go to our settings. Excuse my dog's tongue, that was kind of weird. So we're gonna go down to make sure your Wi-Fi is on right there. That's not it. So you're gonna it's actually gonna pop up with a it should just say HobbyWing or something like that on it. Just look for the one that's not normal under your settings. And once you click on it, mine's automatically going to connect to it. But once you click on it, you're going to make sure on Apple it's kind of easy. Just make sure your stuff's set to automatic and the actual IP address and stuff like that is set. And also go down to your DNS. Make sure your proxy is off, and make sure this is set on automatic. Android users, you're gonna have to go through a little bit more steps to make sure everything's successfully connected to. That's also where this comes into play right here. So go back into your app, click on the ESC, and then you'll see as it turned from gray into a more shaded in, and then the actual signal is coming out to the sides. So that means you're fully connected and ready to go. So what you want to first do, if it's a brand new ESC or any ESC that's never been programmed or that you know of, you always want to just go straight to the firmware update, and then it'll load some things. Make sure it's actually matched up. You can also go into the HobbyWing site and see what firmware version is the newest one that's been put out. The date of its version will tell you when was the last one was updated. Hardware version is going to tell you what your actual hardware is. So you're seeing right here, I'm running the Xeron XR8 short course truck, ESC, and then everything else. It should say status ready to update. When you first load it, it will not have ready to update. It'll be loading for a second, then it'll pop up if you need an update or not. So you just go down, click update. This is just going to tell you just to make sure everything the wheels and everything else is going to be has been operating before you did an update. Don't lock your screen and just don't switch it. Just let it do its thing. So we're gonna let this load real quick and we'll be right back. All right, we're back. It's about 25% done now. I mean, it's 25% more to get done. While this is gonna complete itself out, I'm gonna tell y'all a quick little tip on when you first install and you first get your motor or your ESC and your new controller or your old controller and trying to get everything synced up. The biggest problem people have when it comes to problems with their electronics is their remote is not synced up with their ESC. So what you want to do with the ESC is for at least the Short Course Truck Pro and the higher end ones like this, I think the XR8 Plus. Nope, that one has the power on button and the set button on the actual ESC. So you have to see which ones you have and just basically find where your power button is. Click on so when you turn your car on, make sure your remote is on. Make sure it's also synced up with your RX. Okay, Siri, we're not talking to you right now, so go bye-bye. So then you want to make sure, synced up with your RX. And so when you want to push the power button and hold the set button that's on there as well. So when you hold those two on, at least my HobbyWing, the Short Course Truck Pro, will blink a couple times and continually blinking. That's when you know you're in program mode for the hard version of program mode. So with the first one, you're gonna leave your controller in neutral, throttle in neutral, click the set button once, and you hear it beep. And then go full throttle the whole way, hold it down, and then put the set button again, you'll hear 2 beeps. And then after that, go reverse all the way, hit the set button, and then you'll hear 3, and then it should do a full chime beep, and then it'll be done. And then you'll know when it'll turn to green, and then it'll go back to the regular red color that's supposed to be. I might have those colors backwards. But yeah, so after that, it'll fully function and fully reset itself, just so you can be able to get your full range of motion with your forward and reverse and your brakes. So yeah, so back to this. It's all done now. So as you see up top, it says update completed. So what I'm gonna do is just hit the back button right there, and then we're gonna go down to the parameters. It's gonna load the Short Course Truck. This one, I think it only has one mode, which is that mode 0. If you have the new ones, like I think it's one of the 1/10 scale versions. I think it's the Pro Edition for yeah, it's like some ESC 3.1 Pro, and that one has like about, I think, 5 in total of preset setups. So what you want to do now is just click on the picture, or you click on the mode 0, either one. And so at least for mine, I'm going to be setting it up for just real basic, just so I can get it in race ready mode. So when I get to the track, I can get everything fully functioning and ready to just practice and then test and tune from there. So right here, you see where it says running mode. We're going to make sure we have a forward with brake. We have no forward reverse, no forward and reverse, none of that mess. If you're mainly racing or you're going to an event or anything, you want it on forward and just with brake. Because if you go reverse on the track, it's kind of dangerous to other drivers and stuff like that, because you can potentially run into them and end up in a catastrophic failure. So I do lipo cells. I leave them on auto calculation unless I literally know, because if you leave it on auto, it'll read if it drops a cell or anything, and it'll kind of cut itself off. But you can leave it on 4S, because we're only running 4S in the 8 scale realm. Cutoff voltage, I leave on auto. Sorry, that's my remote going off. I leave on auto. Usually I would check. There's HobbyWing. If you go to Petite RC, there's some HobbyWing setup sheets. I'll probably go through those later on, but for now it's just gonna be the basic setup. So I'm gonna leave everything like it's supposed to. So I'm gonna leave that at auto. The Esc Thermal, you can boost this up a little bit to 125. That's how I run mine. And then motor thermal is also going to be up to 125. That's Celsius, 257 Fahrenheit, of course. For that basically means if your ESC will automatically be reading the temp of your car, your motor and your ESC. So if it ever gets too hot, it will cut itself off to avoid damage to the actual electronics. Let's see. So that was the first section. We're gonna go down to basic 2. This is dealing with the rotation of the motor and your brake force and your punch and all that stuff. So with this, counterclockwise is how my techno is actually set up. So that means basically the motor's turning the pinion gear in the correct directions for your car to go forward when you push throttle on your controller. So that's all fine. My voltage, I am running a high voltage setup in my car. I have a high voltage high-tech servo. So I'll be running 7.4 volts to it, so I can just get the extra oomph, as people say. Max brake force is going to be 50%. I'm going to just leave it there. This max reverse force, it doesn't really matter because you're not using reverse. But if you are calibrating for some bashers or something like that, you can throw reverse in there if you wanted to. Start mode punch. I usually leave it at 5. just to get the feel of a new car or anything like that, because I am going to be doing some practicing on that Friday for our next event. So this will probably change a bit depending how much I want to have some torque or something out of the car. This basically gives it that as it says, punch. So with drag brake, I usually don't run any on Truggy just because it's just Truggy's electronics is just so powerful, so you're not really dealing with having to let it slow down by itself or anything like that. So this will probably jump up to probably 5%, 5 to 7% for me, just to help me out if I'm trying to just go smooth with the racing or anything like that. So this will change on the track. You never want to, you never want to set up your car unless you have already been on a track with it, or you know where you want to have it set up, where programmed at. So we leave that all at 0. Coast is a nice thing that HobbyWing actually has. This actually helps me a lot out in when I'm dealing with, let's see, like my 10 scale stuff. I set coast on it just so I can let go of the throttle and it not automatically start braking. It'll give it a little bit of a coasting kind of sensation before you can turn or anything like that. It kind of helps out with the just basic motor reducement. So I'm running HobbyWing Xeron, the Generation 2 censored motor. It's a 2250 that I have for the Truggy and the Short Course Truck Pro ESC. So cool thing about HobbyWing, if you're running both of their like engine and ESC, it has a cool thing called full censored. Full censored, it basically gives the most powerful and basically the best of the best out of the electronics in your car. So we want to throw that full censored on. I'm going to keep going down. We're going to leave turbo timing alone, a turbo delay. I usually have it at instant, or I give it at least where's it at? That 3.5 seconds before it fully comes into play when I actually running turbo. I usually only run turbo on my 13.5 stadium truck class. But on out here, probably I won't run nothing on Truggy. Probably put something on buggy just to give it some extra oomph to get around the track. Data record. This stuff right here is basically just gonna tell you what's your past minimum and maximum temperatures that you've reached, which is also a great thing to have on this app. Because when you're running this one of the top end ESCs, it actually records the data for you, and you can, instead of having to temp it after the race or anything like that, you can just go on your phone and open up the app and connect it all up and just look through it and see all your past stuff. So this is actually really good. I'm gonna use this for mostly the ESC temperature, my motor temperature, just to make sure I'm not running too hot or too low. And we're gonna change this profile name. I'm gonna create a couple more profiles later on. We're gonna throw it on this Truggy looking buggy thing, and then we're gonna change the name to just basic Truggy. Boom, right there. We push the save button up top, and are you sure to save the parameter settings? Please sure the Wi-Fi module is in operation at the time. I verified that the red light is still going on the Wi-Fi module itself, and then we're gonna just push OK. It's gonna save it to the ESC, save all your changes that you wanted, and boom, solid. So now we can just go back, push back on top of the profile section. You see I changed my picture and the basic Truggy, and click on it real quick, and you see it like 4S, and all my changes are actually in here. So we're gonna go back twice. This is back to the home screen. A few more things you can look at in here is that data record that we were talking about earlier. You can click on cars. You can kind of see this is, so you can kind of go down, see the dates when this was actually inputted. So these two right here, this is the stock spec right here. This is my buggy class, my 2-wheel drive buggy, and that Pro XR10 Pro is in my stadium truck. 0 timing, of course, because I'm not a cheater, you know. You can kind of go through and see what the max motor RPMs, stuff like that. what your voltage was and your max motor temps, and your ESC temp right there. So it's a pretty cool function. I'm really digging it. It's much easier to use this instead of using your old school program cards and program boxes, which I need to get rid of soon, or get them sold or something, or give them to like a new guy coming into the hobby. Other than that, you can go through and find your user manuals, your profile managements. Always remember, you always want to check for that firmware update, or you can go on the HobbyWing.com and look at their site and figure out if you need to do an update for your ESCs. It's always good to have them fully updated, because they're always kind of working on their products and trying to make sure they're better and stuff like that. Click on news. I think it'll bring you to a whole new page to see what new stuff is for HobbyWing coming out, basically. Settings, you go down, this is just normal stuff right here. If you ever wanted to do instead of a Wi-Fi type connection, you can also do the Bluetooth version. That version, you can also look into your instruction manual that came with, and it'll give you some more info on that. Also, you can actually click on this orange section right here, and it'll bring up some more instructions to help you out. Let's see. Other than that, you see it's in connecting mode, not running demo mode. Just make sure you change that when you first get your setup going. We have that language and English. There is also some translations and stuff like that. If you are a viewer or watcher that's new to the channel, new to HobbyWing, you can also go to their site, and they have some translations and stuff like that to help you out. As you can see up here, boom, it's still going. So what you want to do before you even get off of anything, you just want to click on this button. Are you sure you want to disconnect the ESC? And now make sure just nothing's full throttle, nothing's anything like that. Don't disconnect the throttle wire or anything like that. Just push OK. You hear it chime 3 times, and also when it's connected, you hear it chime 3 times. That's gonna come from the ESC. You see it turn to kind of grayed out, and so that means you're pretty much all good, set to go. I'm gonna move this for y'all so you can get a better view of stuff. Boom, boom, boom. Going up, going up. Boom. You see Wi-Fi is still going. Means it's still plugged in. I'm still receiving, I still have a connection to my ESC. Also, another way to tell if your car's on, if you're actually running transponders, it'll blink. But, so now we're gonna I like to turn my car off before I unplug anything, because I just don't want anything to kind of sort out or do anything crazy. So I'm gonna hit my power button. That was my controller. Hold down the power button, it turns off, everything's off. Simple unplug. With this, you would just with these, I have a problem with this. I always tug on these for some reason. If you have like pliers or tweezers or anything like that, hold from this plastic piece right here. Kind of hold from this section or any of this section and kind of pull it out. Otherwise, you can just, if you don't have that movement, you just move it side to side and wiggle it out, just so you don't pull directly out, because it will wear down the actual connections inside of this. But yeah, other than that, I want to quickly make sure, let me plug back in all my parts real fast. So this is what I'm doing to my Chuggy. I'm gonna do the same thing to my buggy in a bit when I get when I make sure everything's good to go. Struggle of having huge fingers. This is why I usually have the wife deal with the small compartments and stuff like that. Ignore this messy wire mess. This is just a quick thing I threw together just to make sure everything was working fine. I didn't have to send anything back before my race. Make sure your controller is turned on. This is my MT. This is my M12S. There we go. From Sanwa Aerotronics. Either one you want to say it. Make sure it's turned on. Make sure it's connected to the right model, which I have it set to 3. I haven't changed the name yet. Power your car on. Quickly verify. You get receiving connections. Make sure your throttle is working all good. And you're pretty much set to go. So appreciate y'all watching the video. I'm gonna go ahead and start working on the buggy. But make sure if you like the video, drop a like, drop a comment if you have any suggestions or questions. I can probably get them answered. But yeah, this was fun. If you like these videos or like want more tutorials or want me to put up more content about how I do a certain thing or what do I do or what can I do, just let me know in the comments below. Be sure to drop a like because it's always awesome to like a video just to support who you're watching, you know what I mean? And if you haven't already, just subscribe and we'll see y'all next time.